You can't run from yourself.
Kaiju number 8 Season 2 begins with Kafka and Mina, as children, caught in the middle of a kaiju attack. The scene, however, shifts to Kafka being hunted by Mina and the defense force. As he finds himself in his present kaiju form, it becomes clear that it's merely Kafka's nightmare as he wakes up, still in confinement. The scene then shifts to Tachikawa Base, still in ruins following Kaiju number 10's rampage. Mina Ashiro stands overlooking the damage. It's been 5 days since Kafka's verdict was announced after his identity as Kaiju number 8 was exposed. Vice Captain Hoshina informs her that what to do with him remains undecided despite the decision to keep him alive for now. Repairs at the base will take time, so the 3rd Division rookies are set to join new units temporarily. Today marks the day they're reassigned. The scene then shifts to Reno and Iharu driving to their new unit. They arrive at a sightseeing spot, but while Iharu snaps photos, Reno seems restless. Iharu tells him to calm down while looking through his phone and notices his texts to Kafka still haven't been read. He starts wondering what'll happen to him now. Reno shares with Iharu the moment Kafka first transformed and tells him that he believes Kafka will return, and Iharu feels the same. The focus moves to the 4th Division's Matsumoto base, where Reno and Iharu are assigned. Reno is determined to grow stronger, so he'll be able to stand by Kafka's side in the future. The scene shifts to Kikoru Shinomiya. As the rookies share updates about their new units in their group chat, Kikoru reflects on her resolve to get stronger. She's been assigned to the 1st Division, considered the strongest in the country. Vice Captain Eiji Hasegawa escorts her to meet the 1st Division Captain, Gen Narumi. But when they arrive, Narumi is fully absorbed in gaming. Hasegawa scolds him, but Narumi casually brushes it off. Despite her doubts about Narumi's laid-back attitude, Kikoru stays professional. Narumi tells her there's only one thing he wants from her at their division, but before he can explain, a kaiju alert goes off. With this perfect opportunity, Narumi tells Kikoru that he'll show her what he means in real combat. The scene then shifts to the 1st Division, responding to a kaiju attack. Their forces engage the monster, driving it toward a neutralization zone. But Narumi has to change their strategy as the kaiju counters in ways they didn't expect. He directs his squad accordingly. As Kikoru watches, she's impressed by how well-coordinated the team is. Each platoon leader's strength keeps the kaiju's movements under control, setting up for Narumi to step in. Once everything is in place, Narumi effortlessly takes down the kaiju in a single strike. Then he tells Kikoru that all he expects from her is unstoppable power, and she is more than ready for that challenge. Later, Hasegawa tells Narumi that HQ summons them, and it's about Kaiju number 8. The scene shifts to Kafka in confinement, thinking about Isao Shinomiya's words about proving his worth. He's unsure of how exactly to achieve it, but is determined to do whatever it takes. Soon, he's taken to Isao's office. There, Kafka finds Narumi, Kikoru, and Hasegawa also present. Chief Shinomiya reveals the decision. Kafka is now assigned to the 1st Division. The goal is to combine the strongest kaiju in history and the strongest anti-kaiju unit to create Japan's ultimate defense force. Kafka must prove his worth there and earn everyone's trust. Though Kafka isn't thrilled about being kept alive simply to be used as Kaiju number 8, he accepts it, knowing he has no other option to survive. Narumi, however, objects, claiming he's already enough to make the 1st Division the strongest. But Isao counters, saying that Kaiju are evolving, getting smarter, and even hiding among humans like Kaiju number 9 did. Because humanity can't predict their next move, Isao believes the defense force needs to evolve as well to counter any disaster. While Narumi insists Kafka should just be turned into a weapon to become useful, Kafka speaks up, saying he can't die yet. His friends believe in him, and he has his own reasons to keep moving forward. Narumi isn't interested in Kafka's resolve, but only in the results he can deliver. But he makes it clear, if Kafka loses control again, Narumi won't hesitate to kill him and use his remains as a suit. In the next scene, Hoshina informs Mina about Kafka's assignment. Everyone quietly prepares to grow stronger for what's coming next. Meanwhile, Chief Shinomiya visits a secure research lab where he's shown something suspicious, but it's not revealed what it is. Suddenly, a massive earthquake strikes the city and buildings. Streets and entire blocks crumble into the ground. The earthquake tremors intensify, and a considerable section of the city collapses into a crater. Soon, swarms of ant-like kaiju emerge, and chaos spreads fast. The scene shifts to Kafka and Kikoru right after their morning training with the 1st Division. Kafka is motivated to prove himself, taking Chief Shinomiya's advice to heart. Kikoru, equally driven, seeks to grow stronger. Just as she talks with Captain Narumi about her personal training under him, the kaiju attack emergency alert rings out. The 1st Division mobilizes, with both Kikoru and Kafka joining the fight. Nearby, a kaiju is about to attack 2 injured children. Narumi arrives just in time to save them. The rest of the squad also begins engaging the monsters. Meanwhile, Chief Asao Shinomiya closely monitors the mission from the Defense Force Command Center. The scene shifts to Kakoru as she jumps into the fight. Narumi orders Shinnonome's unit to support her, but they end up watching in awe as she takes down a kaiju on her own. Despite her strength, Kikoru feels she's not even close to the level of fighters like Hoshina or Ashiro. Still, her solo efforts leave the team stunned, proving that despite being just a rookie, she's special. Meanwhile, Narumi begins to question the nature of the attack. The kaiju's behavior feels off, as this type of kaiju doesn't usually appear in these numbers or on the surface. It reminds him of what happened at the Tachikawa base. He suspects this attack isn't random, but someone might be directing the monsters. Kafka too enters the battlefield with his group. The higher-ups are keeping a close eye on him, curious to see how Kaiju number 8 performs. Kafka uses a partial transformation, but quickly realizes it's not enough against these monsters. He remembers his fight with Chief Shinomiya and hesitates to go all out, but he knows that to stand beside Mina Ashiro as an equal, he has to fight seriously. He attempts a complete transformation, but it fails. Kafka is confused, uncertain about what's holding him back. While Kafka's transformation fails, he sees a powerful kaiju, a suspected Honju, appear directly beneath Kafka. One of the ant-like kaiju appears before him. From a lump of flesh on its head, Kaiju number 9 emerges. Narumi immediately realizes that the actual target of this attack is Kafka, or rather, Kaiju number 8. Kaiju number 9 reveals that it sensed the presence of number 8 and followed it. But only seeing Kafka there, it quickly deduces that he may be the kaiju it's looking for. Kafka also figures out that, like him, Number 9 can detect other kaiju. Before he can come up with a plan, Number 9 attacks, trying to confirm its suspicion. Kafka attempts another transformation, but fails again. Sensing the urgency, Narumi decides to head straight to Kafka's location. However, another ant kaiju appears in front of him, this one also bearing Number 9 on its head. Narumi wonders if Number 9 has split itself, multiplied, or if there have always been two. Things only get worse from there. Across the battlefield, kaijus that had already been taken down begin regenerating. Reports come in from all locations that the defeated kaiju are reviving. As soon as Number 9 enters the scene, the tide of battle turns against the defense force. Back near Kafka, Kaiju number 9 take down the backup troops and prepare to claim Kaiju number 8's powers. Kafka is no match for Number 9 and attempts another transformation, and fails for a third time. At the command center, Keiji Itami notes that Chief Shinomiya may feel like taking matters into his own hands, but he reminds the chief that using the kaiju weapons too frequently shortens the user's lifespan. Regardless, Izao knows that the stakes are high. As Kaiju number 9 is about to land a fatal blow on Kafka, Kikoru arrives just in time and slices Number 9 in half. However, it's not enough to finish the monster. It immediately begins regenerating. Number 9 wonders if it has encountered Kikoru before, but she simply tells it that it doesn't matter, because she's going to kill it soon. Meanwhile, the Kaiju number 9 facing Narumi wants to finish the fight quickly so it can assist in eliminating Kafka. As Narumi effortlessly dodges its attacks, it questions whether Narumi is stronger than Number 8. Narumi lands a direct hit on the kaiju. Chief Shinomiya notes that this battle is a trial the next generation must overcome on their own. Back to Kafka, struggling to transform into his kaiju form. Kikoru steps in to save him just in time. She questions whether Number 9 is interfering with Kafka's transformation somehow. As the fight continues, Kikoru tries to shift Number 9's focus to regeneration, hoping to buy Kafka enough time to transform. She knows she can't win alone, and Kafka's kaiju power is crucial. The kaiju splits its head to fight them both at once. They struggle to keep up despite their combined efforts. Even with injuries piling up, Kikoru pushes forward, determined to be the one protecting others this time. The scene shifts to Kikoru's past. The story reveals more about her mother, Hikari Shinomiya, the Valkyrie who wielded Numbers Weapon 4, one of the deadliest of the Numbers weapons. Young Kikoru greatly admired her mother and wanted to be just as strong. Unfortunately, everything changed when her mother, captain of the 2nd Division, was killed during the Kaiju number 6 incident. Kikoru felt helpless for not being able to protect her and vowed to become strong enough to protect others in the future. Back at the fight, Kikoru lands a serious hit on Number 9. Kafka uses the opportunity to try transforming again. But this time, he realizes the real problem isn't Number 9 interfering. It's his own fear of losing control and hurting his friends. His transformation fails for a 4th time. With Kafka unable to fight as Number 8, the struggle against Number 9 continues. Gen Narumi takes charge with Kafka out. He unleashes 98% combat power, and he goes after the 2nd Number 9. Narumi's blows cauterize the wound, so the kaiju struggles to regenerate. He doesn't give it a moment to recover either. Regardless, number 9 adapts and lands a severe counter. But Narumi also walks away unscathed. Chief Shinomiya thinks that Kaiju number 9 is evolving like a virus. It's fast, unpredictable, and a dangerous threat that needs to be taken down as soon as possible. Narumi's fight escalates as he reveals his full power. With his eyes changed, number 9 thinks it looks just like a Kaiju's. Before it can realize anything further, Narumi blasts a hole through it. Isao Shinomiya then reveals that Narumi is using his second unique weapon, Retina 0001. It's the oldest Kaiju weapon made from the eyes of Kaiju number 1, who could see the future. Narumi now wields that power. Using it, he reads number 9's moves and attacks, landing a straight hit to its core, and takes it down in an instant. Although Narumi wins, Kafka Hibino and Kikoru are still struggling. Kafka is overwhelmed not just by the fight, but by the fear of losing control and hurting his comrades. Upon learning why he can't transform, Kikoru tells him not to underestimate her or his other comrades, or even himself. Her words finally break through Kafka. He's reminded that he can trust his friends, and they're strong enough and won't die easily. He finds new resolve. His 5th transformation succeeds, and everyone braces to see Kaiju number 8 join the fray. Number 9 is now sure that Kafka is Kaiju number 8. It lets out a scream that revives all the fallen Yoju. Number 9 grows wings and prepares to face number 8. Kafka takes on number 9 while Kikoru handles the revived Yoju. Number 9 has planned the way to take Kafka down from their last fight. Unfortunately for the Kaiju, Kafka surprises it by ripping out its core before it even realizes what's happening. Turns out it's just the Ant Kaiju's core. Regardless, Kafka now has a solid guess where the real one is. It's revealed that Kafka has also powered up. He now has a new grasp on his true Kaiju potential after he fought Chief Shinomiya and lost control of his Kaiju counterpart. He learned new moves and now uses them against number 9. Then Kafka lands a powerful blow that pulverizes both number 9 and the Ant Kaiju, leaving everyone stunned with his true powers. With both versions of number 9 down, the Hanju revival collapsed as well. The command center cheers as victory seems in sight. Chief Shinomiya commends Kafka, Kikoru, and Narumi for their efforts. However, Narumi can't shake the feeling that something is off. He suspects number 9 had a greater plan than simply claiming Kaiju number 8. His instincts are soon proven right when the control center picks up another Kaiju signal. The dying number 9 mutters that while it failed to obtain number 8, it will accomplish its other goal. Kafka doesn't immediately understand the meaning, but alerts Narumi that number 9's main body is somewhere else entirely. The scene shifts to the command center, where Kaiju number 9 suddenly emerges from an analyst's body. Isao Shinomiya prepares to confront the threat. Number 9's another objective becomes clear. His target is Chief Shinomiya himself. Realizing number 9's true aim, Kafka, Narumi, and Kikoru race toward the control center. Isao orders an evacuation while he faces number 9. He believed he had prepared for any situation, but it's evident that number 9 has evolved far beyond his expectations. Based on previous reports, number 9's fortitude should be 8.5, meaning Isao should have the advantage. But the fight soon proves that information wrong as number 9 easily overpowers and injures him. Its strength has clearly grown beyond the defense force's expectations. Isao refuses to back down. He knows retreat is impossible as number 9 can track his exact location. He's determined to end the threat right here and unleashes the full might of Kaiju number 2. But even at his full strength, the regenerating number 9 is too much for him to handle alone. Rather, it's eager to push Isao to his limits to test the full capabilities of number 2. As the battle progresses against this ever-evolving opponent, Isao becomes painfully aware that he is no longer at his peak. Number 9 relentlessly pummels Chief Shinomiya. With no regenerative abilities and constant damage piling up, Isao's combat output quickly drops. Still, he pushes his Kaiju weapon to its absolute limit, fully aware that doing so means he will never fight again. For him, taking down number 9 in this moment outweighs his own survival, and he's placing his faith in the new generation to carry on the responsibilities after him. Then in a flashback, we see Kikoru's pass, but from Isao's perspective. Despite knowing the risks of the job, Hikari decided to train Kikoru so she'd be strong enough to protect herself. As he faces number 9, Isao reflects on how he could never indulge Kikoru as much as Hikari wanted him to. Now his sole focus is to eliminate and remove this threat from his daughter's future. He unleashes number 2's primary burst attack, even though the high output strike is too powerful to unleash for a human body. The blast begins to expose number 9's core, but the Kaiju had anticipated this move and prepared a counter. So, Isao charges up a second blast, something number 9 deems impossible for a human. The force of the attack is so great that it obliterates even distant buildings. This draws Narumi and Kafka's attention as they rush to the scene. But number 9 reinforced its body and its core remains intact, though it admits it couldn't fully withstand the hit and barely managed to survive. Unfortunately, Isao's human body has reached its limit. In his dazed state, Isao can't land another hit. Number 9 takes the opportunity and consumes him, calling out to number 2 to become a kaiju again. When Narumi and Kafka arrive, they're relieved to see Isao still standing, but Kafka soon realizes something is wrong. He warns Narumi just as Isao turns on them, revealing that number 9 has merged with his body. Kafka shields Narumi from its attack, but notes that it has now become even more powerful. Number 9 reveals that it killed Isao and fused with him. Kikoru attacks from above, refusing to believe number 9's words. The kaiju taunts her by exposing part of Isao's face as it prepares to strike her. Narumi attacks, but even his hits aren't enough against it now. Apparently, Isao told Narumi about his plans to retire after building the strongest defense unit and entrusted him to lead after he's gone. Then number 9 prepares to escape, as it suffers from post-fusion rejection. Narumi is determined to fulfill his responsibility and bring the kaiju down. But number 9 traps him and prepares to hit him with number 2's strike. Kafka also enters the fray, demanding Isao back. Number 9 is now powerful enough to block both Narumi and Kafka simultaneously, and the situation escalates. Kafka and Narumi are confronting Kaiju number 9, which is grappling with post-fusion rejection. Although number 9 initially gains the upper hand against both Kafka and Narumi after merging with Isao Shinomiya in Kaiju number 2, it soon starts to weaken. The Kaiju's regeneration and hardening processes significantly slow down due to the rejection. Kafka's punches begin to inflict serious damage. Realizing that Kafka's attacks pose the greatest threat, number 9 attempts to flee and counters with a desperate move, launching number 2's blast and sacrificing its lower body in the process. Unfortunately for the Kaiju, Kafka and Narumi manage to survive. Just as they are about to retaliate, number 9 resorts to a dirty tactic. The Kaiju splits its face and targets Kikoru and the lab analyst, fully aware that Defense Force members and humans in general will always prioritize saving lives. They're forced to rush to save them. Number 9 slips away during this chance. Before running away, it taunts Kafka with Isao's face that though this is goodbye for now, when it returns, the true Kaiju era will begin. In the aftermath, we see the nation mourn Chief Isao's death. Kikoru skips the funeral, instead sitting in his office, weighed down by guilt over not being strong enough to protect him or stop number 9. She tells Narumi she'll become stronger. Kikoru thinks that they can't truly honor her father until they defeat his killer, number 9. Narumi respects her resolve and promises to make her stronger than anyone else, except himself before the next battle. Outside, Kafka overhears their conversation. He looks at a part of his arm that's still stuck in kaiju form and vows to take down number 9. The scene shifts to a Defense Force lab. It's revealed that Isao had secretly commissioned particular research before his death. The anime doesn't yet reveal what it's about, but he had instructed the researcher to show it to Itami if something happens to him and left the decision about what to do with it in his hands. Itami orders the project to continue and have it ready for the Defense Force's revenge match. Meanwhile, Narumi has started Kikoru's training. She has her fight against Shinonome, considering that she's not yet ready to face him. She must surpass all 1st Division platoon leaders within a month before beginning her training under Narumi directly. If she can't even surpass them in a month, Narumi says she doesn't stand a chance in the coming battle. This fires up both Kikoru and Shinonome. Meanwhile, Hasegawa questions if Narumi has decided to accept Kaiju number 8 into their division. At the same time, troubling reports about Kafka. His Kaiju transformations are becoming unstable, with parts of his body failing to return to human form after the last battle. The unsettling possibility arises that one day he might not be able to change back at all. Despite this, Kafka is briefly allowed to leave the base and return home, though under constant surveillance. The Kafka reunites with his old Kaiju cleanup crew, joking and reminiscing like old times. Still, the shadow of Isao's death and escalating Kaiju threats weighs heavily on them. While some consider leaving town, Toku reminds them that someone has to stick around to clean up after number 9 falls, a reminder that hope isn't gone yet. Then Kafka and Narumi have a serious talk. Narumi admits he can't keep Kafka in the Defense Force as his transformation now risks his very humanity, but he also needs his help to take down number 9. He makes it clear If Kafka ever loses control and fully becomes a kaiju, Narumi will be the one to kill him. Until then, he's willing to gamble everything on their shared goal, eliminating number 9 once and for all. Kafka, just as determined, agrees. Vice Captain Hoshina visits Kaiju number 10 after it regains consciousness. Despite most of its body being destroyed during the Tachikawa base battle, number 10 still shows an aptitude of 5.7. It roars to intimidate Hoshina, but he remains unfazed and inquires about Kaiju number 9. Number 10 reveals that number 9 is his creator, but additional details come with a condition. Hoshina must set it free and fight alongside it. When Hoshina points out that its core is too damaged for that, number 10 proposes an unprecedented solution. It asks to be turned into a kaiju weapon for Hoshina to wield. Okinogi warns of the risks, noting that number 10 is an intelligent kaiju, and that weapons have never been made from such monsters. However, after careful consideration, Hoshina accepts the gamble, thinking this may give him an advantage against number 9. The scene shifts to the First Division, where Kikoru and Kafka learn of Hoshina's visit regarding number 9. Tensions flare when Narumi encounters Hoshina, unaware of his official purpose. Thankfully, Vice Captain Hasegawa intervenes to mediate the situation. At the conference, all division captains, including new faces such as 2nd Division Captain Jura Igarashi and 4th Division Captain Jugo Ogata, gather with HQ members, including the new chief, Keiji Itami. Hoshina shares what he learned from number 10. The looming threat of number 9 is too massive for a single division to handle. Number 9 can produce kaiju with extremely high fortitude, and the prototype number 10 was only the beginning. Facing the finished kaiju would be far more dangerous, as the defense force can handle only 5 at a time, fewer if their fortitude exceeds 9. The only viable strategy is for all divisions to unite. Meanwhile, we see a glimpse of number 9 creating numerous kaiju, confirming Hoshina's fears. Everyone there delves into discussions about whether number 10 has been truthful. Given the recent spike in kaiju aptitude and the appearance of new kaiju species, Hoshina believes it's likely accurate. Much about kaiju origins remains unknown, though there are speculations that tectonic energy and geological distortions could contribute to their creation. Hoshina theorizes that number 9 is manipulating this process to produce its own kaiju. Number 9's ability to shift forms and relocate makes pinpointing its base nearly impossible. Because creating kaiju requires high energy, Hoshina concludes its lair is likely deep within the ocean, where the Philippine and Eurasian plates meet. Adding to the threat, Mina reveals that number 9 can access the memories of absorbed humans, so by consuming a Zao, it now possesses comprehensive knowledge of the entire defense force. To counter this, Hoshina proposes creating surprise factors by leveraging recruits with potential. One such recruit, Rino Ichikawa, shows signs of syncing with the most powerful and dangerous numbers weapon, number 6. Jugo initially worries about training Rino, as number 6, the king of Kaiju, had a fortitude of 9.6 and requires immense strength to wield. Hikari Shinomiya in previous sacrifices had only managed to neutralize it with great effort. Jugo explains the risks of numbers weapons to Rino. While they grant humans enough power to combat Kaiju, they exert extreme strain on the user's body. Most wielders die before even leaving the force, and number 6 is the deadliest of all. Although Jugo advises Rino to decline, the young recruit draws inspiration from Kafka's determination and resolve to give his all. Rino begins testing his compatibility with number 6, but even using only the arm's gear proves overwhelming. It puts insurmountable strain on Rino, and he ends up passing out. After regaining consciousness, Jura warns that the full suit will push him even further and asks him to reconsider his decision. Despite the dangers, Rino remains determined to master number 6's weapon. His resolve reminds Jura of Hikari. He realizes he cannot sway Rino, so Jura sets a 1-month trial period for him. Jura tells Rino that he must prove if he's truly worthy of wielding number 6 in a real fight after a month. The anime shows a flashback of Iharu's past. He was the top student in high school, confident he could one day stand alongside legends like Isao, Narumi, and Mina. But in the present, as Rino's synchronization with number 6's weapon falters and he's rushed to the hospital, Iharu can only watch in quiet frustration. The scene then shifts to a Kaiju neutralization mission under the 4th Division, 1 month later. This is Rino's real test to prove he's worthy of wearing number 6's suit in battle. Fully suited up, he radiates an icy aura that chills everyone around him, even before unleashing the weapon's true power. Jugo admits he never believed Rino would reach combat readiness in just a month, but against all odds, Rino has. While his unleashed power numbers don't match Kikoru's yet, Reno's growth rate surpasses hers, earning him the label of a prodigy. Still, training and real combat are different, and this mission will determine if he can truly handle it. Reno is tasked with leading a platoon against a mole-type Hanju with a 6.4 fortitude level. Jugo sets a condition that Reno must defeat it within 10 minutes, since prolonged use of the numbers weapon drains the user's lifespan. As the operation begins, Reno Ichikawa sprints ahead. Iharu has to power up just to keep pace, but when Reno's ice control falters during a clash with a Yoju, Iharu and the squad arrive to cover him. Iharu is determined to prove his own worth and tries taking on a Yoju alone, but he struggles. Memories of how his growth stalled after joining the defense force and how quickly his top student Shine faded haunt him. Reno steps in and saves him, thanking him for buying him a crucial moment. Reno takes down the Yoju himself and then moves on to the Hanju, ready to do it all by himself. The gap between them feels wider than ever, leaving Iharu frustrated and bitter as Reno faces the Hanju. He unleashes number 6's power at 43%, partially freezing the Kaiju. But its thick hide and fast regeneration prevent Reno from reaching the core. Pushing himself further, Reno forces his synchronization up to 51% mid-fight, a new high. Though Reno insists he feels fine, even stronger than usual, Jugo notes that Reno's rapid growth isn't a blessing. It's actually a negative sign. Jugo's worries prove right. Reno pushes himself far beyond his limit, determined to prove his worth and grow stronger. The Hanju also transforms. Reno strikes it with everything he has and manages to destroy its uni-organs. However, the strain on his body becomes too much. His eyes start bleeding, his blood pressure spikes, and muscle tears grow in number. It's clear that Reno is pushing himself beyond what his body can endure. Jugo notes that it's only a matter of time before his body gives in. He states that the harsh stress of real combat is warping Reno's mind and body, feeding his desperate craving for more power. He had warned that number 6's weapon is powerful enough to consume and destroy its wielder if used recklessly, but Reno is teetering on exactly that path. Inside his consciousness, Reno himself realizes he's losing control of his thoughts and sinks deeper into his obsession with becoming stronger. On the battlefield, he reaches a new power level and freezes the Hanju faster than it can regenerate. But the cost on his body is equally immense. His body starts reaching its limit as his ice powers overwhelm the area. Even his own unit can't get close enough to support him. They all realize that Reno cannot sustain this much longer. Just as Jugo feared, his leg gave in. Jugo orders his troops to move, declaring Reno's time is up. Just as it seems Reno's trial is over in failure, then Iharu steps in, refusing to stand by any longer. He asks Jugo for one more chance, promising that if they work together, they can still pull this off. He rushes to Reno's side, pulling him back from the ice-covered terrain. Iharu tells Reno his strategy to take down the Hanju, with their combined efforts urging Reno not to carry the burden alone. Iharu says that instead of trying to shoulder everything, Reno needs to trust his comrades and rely on their strength. His plan is for their troop to distract the Hanju and open a window for Reno to deliver the finishing blow. Iharu's pep talk moves Reno out of his despair. He agrees and Iharu charges into battle to create the opening, while Reno prepares to unleash the decisive strike that will end the fight. Iharu's speech helped Reno focus and clarified their goal of fighting together. Iharu planned to expose the Kaiju's core, allowing Reno to strike and finish it off from a distance. Meanwhile, 4th Division Captain Jugo Ogata speculated that Iharu's combat power of 24% wouldn't be sufficient to reveal Hanju's core. Just then, Captain Yugo noticed something peculiar about Iharu. He bore a resemblance to the captain himself when he was younger. Iharu's ability fluctuated depending on his mindset. When he was in the zone, his combat power significantly increased, but when he wasn't, it dropped sharply. Iharu is lost in his thoughts about how he wasn't a genius and wouldn't fit to be a hero like others. Whenever he tries to catch up with others, he is always held back by his own limits. But even so, Iharu isn't giving up. He tries to break his limit and go beyond. Back to Iharu's fight with Hunju, Iharu manages to create an opening, and Reno lands the finishing hit. The moment reminds the captain of Kikoru's mother, and he wonders if he would have stopped her from wearing a numbered weapon if he had known how her future would unfold. As the defense team announces that Hanju has been defeated, Iharu and Reno celebrate their victory, joined by the other defense force members. After the mission concludes, the defense team escorts the injured, while Captain Jugo expresses regret for not being able to be with Hikari Shinomiya. He eventually stops crying and contacts Reno. informing him that he has passed the test and entrusts him with a part of the responsibility for defending the country's future. The captain also silently acknowledges that if Iharu receives proper training, he could grow into someone truly special. At the Defense Force 3rd Division, Captain Mina Ashiro inquires about Rino Ichikawa's performance from Captain Jugo. He informs her that Rino has been doing well and is indeed well suited to wear the number 6. However, Captain Mina expresses her concerns, stating that she doesn't want to see Rino die. That's why she is asking Captain Jugo whether Rino can handle the number 6 weapon. Captain Jugo reassures her not to worry, promising that he will make both Rino and Iharu even stronger than she can imagine, as it is his destiny. This determination is part of the reason he has survived. News of Rino wielding a numbered weapon quickly spreads among the recruits and reaches Kafka. Concerned for Rino, Kafka is reminded by Kikoru that as a fellow Defense Force soldier, Rino should not be underestimated. She tells Kafka that their job isn't about worrying. Instead, they should focus on their goals. Afterwards, she leaves, thinking that she should strive to become stronger than Rino. Later that evening, Kafka is engaged in his regular workout and reflects on Rino. He admits to himself that Rino has been working hard to improve, while he has not. Kafka begins to doubt his own ability to protect others, considering that everyone requires the power of Kaiju No. 8, rather than the assistance of a human like himself. Vice Captain Hoshina suddenly appears and tries to intimidate Kafka as punishment for not revealing his true identity. Hoshina expresses gratitude to Kafka for protecting his squad by revealing his kaiju appearance in front of others, despite understanding the risks involved. He advises Kafka against transforming any further, stating that he will take on Kaiju No. 9 himself. Hoshina explains that if Kafka continues to transform, he risks losing his humanity. However, Kafka asserts that he wants others to acknowledge his strength. Despite this desire, he feels inadequate because he is not strong enough on his own. Kafka is frustrated by witnessing his friends get injured, which is why he believes he needs to transform into Kaiju No. 8 and fight. After recognizing Kafka's determination to fight, Hoshina agrees to teach him how to improve his combat skills. He takes Kafka to Ryune's shrine, which has been standing since the Edo period and is dedicated to the victims of kaiju. During the training, we observe significant changes in Kafka. He effectively learns to box and can engage in proper hand-to-hand combat, though he still struggles against Hoshina's strength. Nevertheless, Hoshina acknowledges Kafka's efforts, compliments his fighting style, and promises to help him become stronger. As they prepare to leave, Kafka notices an eerie armored figure in the distance. Kafka Hibino is training in the squadron-style combat technique, which is taught by Vice Captain Soshiro Hoshina. Although he struggles with it, Kikoru enters and criticizes him for his difficulty. She mentions that even her father practices the technique daily, leaving Kafka surprised. Afterwards, Kikoru hands over Kafka's phone at Vice Captain Hoshina's request before leaving. Once in his room, Kafka wonders if he should contact his friends, considering his secret identity. He is concerned about what his friends might think. When he finally turns on his phone, a flood of notifications appears, and he fears that the messages will be filled with hatred. Just then, Rino Ichikawa calls Kafka, but accidentally Kafka hangs up on him, leaving him embarrassed. Not long after, Reno calls from Iharu Furuhashi's phone, which Kafka answers. Reno scolds Kafka for not picking up his calls and points out that he hasn't contacted anyone in the past 2 months. He expresses his concern for Kafka's well-being. Kafka apologizes and confesses that he's afraid he won't be accepted into the 3rd Division because everyone fears him due to his Kaiju No. 8 transformation. Iharu then tells Kafka that while he is indeed scared of Kafka's kaiju powers, it doesn't mean he dislikes him. Iharu explains that he has seen Kafka risk everything to save the 3rd Division, which is why he trusts him. He reassures Kafka that this sentiment is shared by everyone in the 3rd Division. Kikoru enters Kafka's room to inform him about the next training session. Upon seeing all the positive messages from his friends, Kafka starts to cry and tells Kikoru that Rino was right. Kikoru is happy to see Kafka doing well and encourages him to hurry up for the training session. Meanwhile, Isao Shinomiya is barely conscious after being devoured by Kaiju No. 9. He realizes that he couldn't prevent the new kaiju from hatching in the nest. Numerous news reports emerge about the new kaiju appearing in various locations, including Ajeo, Shibuya, Chigasaki, and Utsunomiya. At the Defense Force headquarters, Vice Captain Hoshina reports that the kaiju are appearing and disappearing before the Defense Force can respond. This is attributed to the new kaiju possessing significantly higher intelligence. Additionally, the rate at which the kaiju are hatching is much faster than anticipated by Kaiju number 10. Hasegawa then provides an update on the preparations, including the backup generators, the strengthening of the city's defenses, and the expansion of underground shelters, all of which are progressing according to plan. For countermeasures, they have disabled the seal on the number 1 suit for Captain Narumi. Candidates have also been selected for numbers 3, 5, and 7, who can wield the numbered weapon powers. Head Captain Keiji Itami orders the deployment of every available anti-kaiju force. However, he worries that if the new kaiju are as powerful as Kaiju number 9, which defeated Isao Shinomiya, they will face serious problems. Meanwhile, Isao Shinomiya is slowly fading away and entrusts his will to the new generation of the Defense Force, specifically to Kafka Hibino, as his consciousness slips away completely. At the Ariake Maritime Base 13, Captain Gen Narumi tells Kikoru that he would fight her seriously if she were to master the number 4 suit, which was previously used by her mother, Hikari Shinomiya. Determined to honor her father's memory, Kikoru resolves to use her mother's suit to seek revenge for his death. The two scientists outside sense the earth-shaking clash between Captain Narumi and Kikoru, who are apparently engaged in training with their numbered weapons. They discuss how the 1st Division and the 3rd Division are conducting a joint training exercise. Meanwhile, Kafka is practicing his punches with Vice Captain Hoshina. However, Kafka's punches barely affect Hoshina. In response, Hoshina switches places with him and effortlessly punches Kafka, sending him flying. Hoshina tells Kafka that he has a long way to go and gives him a break for lunch. Kafka goes to the terrace to enjoy his lunch in peace, where he encounters Captain Mina Ashiro of the 3rd Division. She instructs him to sit next to her. As they eat, they reminisce about their childhood, during which Kafka was always the protector of their team. Despite trembling, he consistently wore a smile. Mina tells him that she has grown stronger and no longer needs to hide behind him. She encourages him not to carry all the burdens on his own. Mina also reminds Kafka of the promise they made as children to eliminate all kaiju from the world. Kafka agrees and Mina feels relieved that he hasn't changed. With that, she bids him farewell. Meanwhile, at Shinjuku, another kaiju disguised as a human appears, but this time, it attacks, killing multiple people. Masahide Tokuda is organizing a party to celebrate his daughter's wedding. Just as Masahide and his daughter are about to enter the ceremony, a kaiju attacks. The Defense Force has received updates on the appearances of kaiju and is preparing to send backup. However, multiple kaiju suddenly appear throughout Tokyo, causing chaos in the control room. The monsters emerge from locations such as Wakabayashi, Asakusa, Mount Takao, and Shibuko and 4th Avenue. Meanwhile, in Sumida Ward, one of the kaiju begins rampaging inside the building, sending the public into a panic. Amid the chaos, Masahide carries his son-in-law on his shoulder as he tries to find a safe place. Masahide warns his daughter to reach a safe place, but suddenly a giant kaiju appears, shattering the building and separating him from her. The kaiju begins attacking his daughter, and Masahide can only watch in helplessness as it prepares to eat her. Just then, Captain Narumi arrives and swiftly kills the kaiju. Afterwards, Captain Narumi and his team assist the wounded and escort them to safety. He then contacts the 3rd Division Captain, Mina Ashiro, to check on her situation. Captain Mina reassures him that everything is going well on her end as well. At the Defense Force base, Deputy Director Keiji Itami orders the strike team to unleash all combat power. Captain Narumi and his team successfully destroyed all the kaiju in Sumida Ward. Afterwards, Captain Narumi contacts Eiji Hasegawa for a status update. Hasegawa shares both good and bad news. Starting with the good news, he reports that the 1st and 3rd Divisions are deployed throughout Tokyo. They have successfully defeated several kaiju and are escorting civilians to safety. However, Hasegawa also shares the bad news. The rest of the divisions are engaged in battles against kaiju in various locations. These creatures are targeting major cities, power plants, communication towers, and other critical infrastructure, which are essential for humanity. Captain Narumi speculates that Kaiju number 9 may be behind these attacks. At the Ariake Maritime Base, the number 4 weapon is deployed, operated by Kikoru Shinomiya. Seeing Kikoru wielding the number 4 weapon reminds Itami of her mother. Kikoru then boards a Defense Force combat plane and heads to the neutralization area. Once there, she deploys from the aircraft and activates the number 4 weapon, soaring ahead with incredible speed and precision. This is reportedly the only numbered weapon capable of flight. Upon arriving at the location, Kikoru begins taking out kaiju one by one. The Defense Force platoons are astonished by the power of Kikoru Shinomiya. Although the platoons attempt to assist her, Their efforts prove futile, as Kikoru is more than capable of handling all the kaiju on her own. From the Defense Force base, Deputy Director Keiji Itami observes her battle, reminiscing about Kikoru's parents. The Defense Force announces that Kikoru has eliminated all the targets and that they are moving to Stage A. Captain Narumi contacts Captain Mina about the Chofu area, and she informs him that she's assigned someone capable to oversee it. Meanwhile, Vice Captain Soshiro Hoshina activates his unique number 10 weapon suit, a prototype that allows separate consciousnesses between the user and the kaiju. Despite Hoshina's intention to follow the strategy, Kaiju number 10 decides to rampage, cutting the plane's bottom before jumping down to engage in battle. Upon reaching the ground, Hoshina and Kaiju number 10 found themselves surrounded by Yoju. Hoshina planned to attack from the left, while number 10 approached from the right, complicating their coordination. After a heated argument, their combat power dwindled, leading Hoshina to warn number 10 that failure meant death for him and a discard for number 10. Realizing the urgency, they began to synchronize mentally, boosting their combat power. With newfound coordination, they effectively eliminated all the Yoju in the area. Hoshina eliminates Yojus on the runways using his sword slay technique, while instructing Kaiju number 10 to keep watch behind him. To boost Kaiju number 10's performance, he taunts it, fueling its anger and combat power. Spotting an Hanju hiding behind the Yojus, Hoshina clears the way with Kaiju number 10's support. Once only the Hanju remains, he uses his special technique number 6 to defeat it, exciting Kaiju number 10 as it recalls that this was the technique used against it initially. Hoshina defeats the Kaiju on the runway, but Kaiju number 10, bored with fighting others, prefers to attack human soldiers and seeks a strong opponent. Hoshina and the Kaiju argue childishly. Meanwhile, the operations team at the Defense Force monitors the situation, with Konomi Okanogi pondering their future strength. Narumi receives Hoshina's report about the successful takedown at Chofu Airport, while Hasegawa notes that only the Uizumi area remains, managed by the Shinonome and Tachibana platoons. The 6 supermassive kaiju are wreaking havoc in the city. Kafka asks the Shinonome for permission to use his Kaiju number 8 transformation, but she refuses, explaining that it would reveal his location to Kaiju number 9, and he is their key to defeating it. Just then, one of the kaiju launches an energy blast. Captain Mina Ashiro takes down the giant kaiju one by one from a distance of 20 kilometers using the anti-giant kaiju railgun, astonishing the platoon leaders. Her total combat power is 94%, which is sufficient to eliminate the giant kaiju in a single shot. Even the Director General of the Defense Force, Keiji Itami, is impressed by her skills, stating that she surpasses Captain Gen Narumi. Meanwhile, Captain Mina successfully eliminates the last giant kaiju, clearing the area of all threats. Kafka Hibino is elated to see all the kaiju defeated and praises Captain Mina for her exceptional performance. At the Defense Force, the operation leader, Akira Kurusu, claims that they have complete control over the area. However, Kikoru and Captain Narumi feel that something is not quite right. Despite the kaiju attacking major cities, there hasn't been any catastrophic level of destruction, leading them to suspect that the kaiju may have other motives. Meanwhile, Kaiju number 9 is attempting to locate Kaiju number 8, but has been unsuccessful in finding it. Suddenly, a Dai Kaiju is detected in Sumida City with an estimated fortitude of 9.0. However, that's not the only concern, as multiple reports are coming in from Tachikawa and Oizumi about kaijus emerging unexpectedly, all with fortitude levels exceeding 9. In response, the Director General orders the officers to identify these creatures as numbered kaijus. Meanwhile, Kaiju number 15 attacks Kikoru and the Defense Force soldiers, but luckily, Kikoru manages to dodge the attack. Captain Narumi informs everyone that the kaijus are not targeting the major cities. Instead, their real objective is to disperse and eliminate the main force. Director General Keiji Itami is pondering how to handle the current situation, as defeating a numbered kaiju is not an easy task. It typically requires the efforts of several captains. In the meantime, Captain Narumi informs Kikoru that she must take on Kaiju number 15 by herself, as there aren't enough Defense Force members available to provide reinforcements. Kikoru confidently agrees to take on the challenge. As Kaiju number 15 begins its attack, it mocks Kikoru, but she stands her ground and starts counterattacking. At the Defense Force, Keiji Itami reflects Kikoru's abilities, speculating that she has already surpassed not only her fellow first-year students, but also their parents during their own first-year experiences. Kikoru continues to struggle against Kaiju number 15. Despite her best efforts, she is being overwhelmed by it. The kaiju taunts Kikoru, telling her to stop trying because she cannot even leave a scratch on it. Meanwhile, Captain Narumi and Vice Captain Hoshina are also facing difficulties in their battles against the kaijus. Director General Keiji Itami remarks that humans have always found ways to fight against animals, insects, bacteria, viruses, and even kaiju. However, this is the first time in history that someone has studied them. In other words, the kaijus have been designed to destroy the defense force. At the rescue center, Masahide was worried about his daughter. Then Ichitaka and Hiroto arrived, assuring him that his daughter was doing well. Just then, a news reporter announced that multiple kaiju with a fortitude of 9.0 were attacking the city. All the other rescuers began to lose hope. However, Masahide refused to give up and was determined to do whatever he could to help. Meanwhile, Kafka was escorting the evacuees to a safe location when he received a call instructing him to take the wounded and flee, as the area was now a caution zone. Platoon leader Rin Shinonome informs all the soldiers nearby whose combat power is below 60% to stay away from the area. Suddenly, a kaiju charges towards them to attack. Kafka urges the civilians to hurry and reach the safety zone. Among the civilians, an elderly woman trembles with fear, but a young girl reassures her that everything will be all right. The girl shows the old woman her collection of Defense Force captain cards, saying that the Defense Force will protect them. This moment reminds Kafka of his childhood, when he promised Mina that he would eliminate all kaiju from the world. After all the civilians have been escorted to the safety zone, Kafka rushes to the Uizumi area to save his fellow Defense Force members. Meanwhile, in the Uizumi area, the platoon leaders have been defeated by Kaiju number 13, except for Rin Shinonome, who is unsure of what to do. She then remembers that Captain Narumi appointed her as the platoon leader, which makes her realize that she cannot give up. Rin begins to attack Kaiju number 13 with everything she has, driven by her desire to become stronger so that Captain Narumi will notice her. However, despite her efforts, she finds herself overwhelmed by Kaiju number 13. Rin Shinonome was severely injured and could no longer continue fighting. Just as Kaiju number 13 was about to finish her off, Kafka stepped in to save her. Despite her orders for him to stay out of the battle, he confidently smiled and insisted that he could defeat Kaiju number 13. Kafka then transformed into Kaiju number 8 to engage in the fight, which inadvertently revealed his location to Kaiju number 9, who was thrilled to discover Kaiju number 8. And that concludes this season. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe.